cheap fakes, videos of real events that are intentionally manipulated.
We're hearing about so-called cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. This week we diagnose how the leftist media handles problems that impact their favorite guy whose uncle was eaten by cannibals.
And they never found the body because there were a lot of cannibals for real.
Yeah, Joe Biden. On Friday of last week, the leftist media was very concerned about Donald Trump's cognitive state.
It's almost like what he says is beside the point. The fact that he's up there, standing, still talking is enough, the Trump team thinks, to placate anyone or dissuade them from thinking that he's somehow addled.
Yeah, we need to totally be concerned by Trump's cognitive abilities. But over the weekend, we saw Biden freeze up as he attempted to leave a fundraising stage with Obama. Now, the leftist nets all covered the event on Monday, and they love to say that it was star-studded, but they just omitted the Biden brain freeze.
President Biden and former President Trump in full campaign mode over the weekend. Biden hosted a star-studded fundraiser in Los Angeles.
At a star-studded LA fundraiser, President Biden laying out the stakes of a potential second Trump term.
Meanwhile, President Biden traveled to California, where he joined former President Barack Obama at a star-studded Hollywood fundraiser.
Tickets to President Biden's star-studded fundraiser ranged from $250 to $500,000.
But the internet was not going to let them forget about the petrified president. So when the White House rolled out their latest media talking point, don't believe your own lying eyes. Joe is really a mobile, flexible, and alert guy, and videos that show otherwise are
cheap fakes and misinformation.
I mean, why would the leftist media want to question this? Orders have been issued. It's time to simply repeat Democratic talking points.
Deceptively edited videos known as cheap fakes.
A cheap fake, at least that's what the White House calls this viral video of President Biden.
The White House says there's a cheap fake problem.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes, videos of real events that are intentionally manipulated.
We're hearing about so-called cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Cheap fakes.
Luckily, the leftist media is here to show you the difference between these horribly manipulated videos and the ones that they want you to see.
Here's the first one where it appears to show him kind of wandering off, as you can see, generating tons of headlines and reaction to what exactly had happened in this moment. There's the French or Italian leader trying to bring him back. Then we can also show the video of what that looked like in real time. And here's the actual video where you see from a different angle kind of what was going on, a little bit more context around the situation and so forth.
Well, you know, my mind is now completely changed. I mean, that new angle is so different.
Take a look at this clip, for example. It shows Biden and other world leaders watching a skydiving demonstration before the president is seen walking away and looking in another direction. Outlets claimed that he was sort of just aimlessly wandering away.
But that was the video that CNBC just claimed was the real one. I mean, the leftist networks can't even tell the difference. Could it be because there really isn't any?
From the New York Post, quote, Biden appears to freeze up, has to be led off stage by Obama at Megabucks LA fundraiser. The full video, posted by Biden finance chair on Twitter, shows something entirely different.
Does it though? I mean, you cut away to a far shot, he still looks pretty frozen there.
The lie is sprinting the 100-meter dash, and the fact check is taking a stroll on the beach. So it's never going to catch up, and it's never going to have the same reach, and this is the problem.
Problem solved. The Associated Press sprinted to a fact check. Biden didn't freeze. That's false. He just, paused, like a tree pauses in a petrified forest, I guess. Guess what, leftist media? Nobody freaking believes you. We can all see it. Your only hope is to never air any clips of Joe Biden attempting to walk ever again.
It's the question that I started this conversation with, is how much to talk about it versus how much to just kind of ignore it. And we're trying to kind of do both here. What are your thoughts?
I have never seen something like, in any election I've covered, the topic of frailty and age being so important and impactful.
Oh, really? You haven't? How about in June of 2020?
Some questions this morning about President Trump's health. And it's because of this video of the president where you see him walking very haltingly, one leg at a time. It starts happening here, down a ramp.
Stage down what looked like a pretty typical ramp in a particularly slow and cautious manner.
I can see the alarm. I mean, he walks slowly. I mean, wandering around aimlessly and freezing up like someone yanked out your power cord, there is no problem with that. But walking slowly down a ramp, I mean, that deserves panel discussions for days.
Sanjay, President Trump is not known for being athletic. So maybe he just has a hard time going down a gently sloping ramp. But do you see something possibly neurological that could be throwing off his balance?
We can try to explain that slow walk down the ramp. What is the president's level of concern?
We need transparency about the health of this nation's leader. And what we saw this weekend is enough to say, Mr. President, why don't you tell us the truth about your health?
It was such a different time back in 2020. Do you remember when the media questioned a president's health after viewing one video of him walking gingerly down a ramp and then showed it to you over and over and over again so you could, I believe the words they used, judge for yourself?
President Donald Trump's slow and halting descent down a ramp following a commencement speech at West Point in mid-June absolutely set the internet on fire, with many people speculating about whether it was a sign he was in ill health. Here's the video so you can judge for yourself.
But not now, no judging for yourself. That's a cheap fake. You can't judge. Much like Hunter's laptop in 2020, the only answer is to declare frozen Biden videos as misinformation and call on big tech to censor them all.
So we're going to see more of this. We're going to do what we can to combat it. But it does take the voices of surrogates across the country. It does take the media to call it out. It does take social media platforms where a lot of Americans are getting their information to point it out as well.
It's just like Hunter's laptop when it was disinformation in 2020, even though, of course, it absolutely wasn't. But hey, you know, that kind of censorship, that's what's needed. And when they're not busy promoting censorship and bemoaning Biden videos this week, the leftist media was already expressing concerns about next week in the upcoming presidential debates.
Just to boil it down, how cruel is Trump going to be, right? How cruel will he be to Biden?
It could be bad. You know, Trump could end up talking about the economy or the border or energy policy.
Those moments might really become viral.
And if they do go viral, I'm sure the Biden administration will tell us it's all
cheap fakes and misinformation.
And the leftist media will gladly repeat that. I'm Eric Shiner for MRC-TV, asking you to head over to the MRC website, click on that donation button, help keep videos like this one coming. Check out MRCTV.org for the latest in videos, information, and entertainment. And please help keep these videos coming. Like, share, and subscribe to these videos on the platforms that actually let you see us. Now, we'll be back next week with another look at leftist media madness.
I want to invite you as my guest on a very special, once-in-a-lifetime, 7-day post-election cruise in the Caribbean. It's going to be a blast.